Hello everyone, my name is Nathalie Marquez and I am one of the BCBAs at Postbox Academy. Today we are going to be learning about motivating operation. Let's get started. Motivating operation are the motivations behind what we do or what we don't do. It is important to know about motivating operation because it helps us understand why some behaviors happen, and it can help us use items or activities that our kiddos are motivated for more efficiently. Motivating operation is divided into two terms: establishing operation or EOs and abolishing operation and AOs. Let's learn a little bit more about them. Establishing operation increases the effectiveness of an item or activity as a reinforcer by making it more valuable through a state of deprivation. In addition, due to this state of deprivation, the behaviors that lead to obtaining that item or activity will also increase. Here's an example. You just ran a marathon and you are feeling thirsty. This increases the value of water as a reinforcer, and any behaviors that lead to obtaining water also increase. Now, on the other hand, we have abolishing operation. Abolishing operation decreases the effectiveness of an item or activity as a reinforcer by making it less valuable through a state of satiation. In addition, due to this state of satiation, the behaviors that lead to obtaining that item or activity will also decrease. Here's an example. You just ate a whole bag of Skittles. This makes Skittles less valuable, and it becomes something you are less likely to want to work for. Now, here is a visual to help you understand a little bit better the difference between establishing operation and abolishing operation. Let's take a look at it. So, establishing operation, like we discussed in previous slide, evokes behavior, meaning it increases behavior and it increases the value of that item or activity as a reinforcer because we're in that state of deprivation, right? Now let's see this example. I skipped breakfast and I am hungry. Now, the establishing operation here is hunger. So because you're in the state of deprivation from food is now highly valuable to you, and any behaviors that lead to you obtaining food will also increase. So the side of a donut, that donut becomes highly valuable to you as a reinforcer because you skip breakfast and you're very hungry. So food is very valuable to you in that moment. On the other hand, you have abolishing operation. Abolishing operation evade behavior, meaning it decreases behavior and it decreases the value of the item or activity as a reinforcer because we're in that state of satiation of that item and activity. Let's take a look at this example. I just ate a large breakfast and my coworker offers me a donut. The abolishing operation here is being full. So because you just ate a big breakfast, is a donut valuable to you? Not at that moment, right? Because we just had a big breakfast, so a donut isn't something you are motivated for because you are satiated on food in that moment. Now let's take a look at motivating operation at home and how you can use it with your child. Like we discussed before, establishing operation looks at withholding a preferred item or activity to make it more valuable as a reinforcer through a state of deprivation. This in turn will make it more likely that your child will comply with the task in order to gain access to that preferred item or activity. Here's an example. George loves playing with the iPad. Typically, George has free access to his iPad. If his parents withhold the iPad from George, they deprive him from the iPad and only allow access to the iPad after he finishes his dinner, George's desire or value for the iPad will increase. Therefore, he will be more likely to finish his food in order to earn access to his iPad. Now, let's take a look at abolishing operation and how you can use it at home. Abolishing operation are events that result in a decrease in the value of that item or activity as a reinforcer through a state of satiation. This will make it less likely that the child will want to engage in that item or activity because they're in that state of satiation, right? And here's an example. George loves to run around during mealtime. If his parents take him outside to play for an hour before mealtime and allow him to run around and play, right? Get all the energy out, satiate him on like running around, and just let him let that child get all the energy out and get satiated on running around, basically. George's motivation to run around during mealtime will decrease. And this is because we have satiated George on running around. He was allowed to run around for an hour before mealtime. So once mealtime comes, an hour later, he will be less likely to want to run around and will be more likely to sit and eat his meal. Now, let's talk about conditioned motivating operation and unconditioned motivating operation. So, conditioned motivating operation occurs when an item or activity has been conditioned or has been taught to be reinforcing. Here's an example. You just got to work and realized you left your computer glasses at home. You know from experience that not having your glasses on when you are on the computer lead to a headache later. Through experience, your computer glasses became reinforcing to you because they help prevent a headache. Now, on the other hand, you have unconditioned motivating operation. Unconditioned motivating operation occurs when an item or activity does not need to be conditioned or been taught in order to have that reinforcing value. For example, deprivation of water establishes the value of water as a reinforcer. Through the person's lifespan and regardless of any learning history, water, food, shelter, and warmth will always be reinforcing to you. Think of unconditioned motivating operation as that motivational states that help us stay alive, right? Help us survive. We can't survive without food and water and shelter and warmth, right? So once we become deprived of them, they immediately become reinforcing to us without any previous learning history. Now let's review. Motivating operation are the motivations behind what we do or what we don't do, right? And we discussed that there's two types of motivating operation. You have establishing operation and abolishing operation. Establishing operation increases the reinforcing value of an item or activity and the behaviors that gain access to that item or activity because we're in that state of deprivation, right? And I gave the example of the marathon and the water, right? You run a marathon and you have been deprived from water for a very long time. Now, water becomes highly valuable to you, and those behaviors that lead to obtaining water will also increase. Now, on the other hand, you have abolishing operation. So, abolishing operation decreases the reinforcing value of an item or activity and the behaviors that gain access to the item or activity, because we're in that state of satiation, right? And I gave the example of the Skittles, right? You just ate a whole bag of Skittles and somebody offers you a Skittle. Are you gonna be motivated for that Skittle? No, because you just ate a whole bag of Skittles. So Skittles at that moment are not valuable to you. Not valuable to you. You are satiated on Skittles at that moment. And lastly, we discussed that item or activities can be conditioned or can be taught to have a reinforcing value. Those are your conditioned motivating operation. And the example we talked about was the computer glasses, right? Through a learning history, you learn that those glasses help prevent your headaches. So they are reinforcing to you because they help prevent the headaches. You learn you learn with time that those glasses became reinforcing to you because they help prevent the headache. Now, item or activities can have a reinforcing value without any previous learning history. Those are your unconditioned motivating operation, and these are your motivational states that help you survive, right? That's your food, your water, your shelter, and your warmth. Once we have been deprived from them from long periods of time, they immediately become reinforcing to us. We didn't have to learn for them to be reinforcing to us. Here are the questions that you will need to answer, and so I will go over each one and give you a couple of seconds to answer them, and then I will go over the correct answer. So question number 1: which motivating operation decreases the value of an item or activity as a reinforcer? I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to answer. All right, so question number 1: which motivating operation decreases the value of an item or activity as a reinforcer? And if you answer abolishing operation, you are correct. You got it right. So abolishing operation decreases the value of an item or activity as a reinforcer because we're in that state of satiation, right? We in the example I gave to you guys was the bag of Skittles, right? You just ate a whole bag of Skittles and somebody offers you a Skittle. Those Skittles are not valuable to you at that moment because you just had a whole bag. It's not something you are motivated for at that moment. Question number 2: which motivating operation increases the value of an item or activity as a reinforcer? I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer. All right. Question number 2: which motivating operation increases the value of an item or activity as a reinforcer? The correct answer is establishing operation, right? Establishing operation increases the value of an item or activity as a reinforcer through a state of deprivation, right? So the example I gave you was the iPad, right? If George's parents deprived him of the iPad all day and only give it to him If he finishes his dinner, the value of the iPad increases, and the behaviors that lead to obtaining that iPad also increases because he has been deprived from it for a long period of time. Question number 3. Which motivating operation occurs when an item or activity has been trained or has been conditioned to be reinforcing? Give you a couple of seconds to answer. All right, question number 3. Which motivating operation occurs when an item or activity has been conditioned to be reinforcing? The correct answer is conditioned motivating operation. The example I went over with you was the computer glasses, right? Through experience and a learning history, you learn that having those glasses became reinforcing to you because they help prevent your headache. You did through your learning in wearing them and then wearing them again, you realize that they became reinforcing to you because when you wear them, you don't get that stubborn headache all day. Now, question number 4. Which motivating operation occurs when an item or activity has not been conditioned or trained to have that reinforcing value? I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer. All right, question number 4. Which motivating operation occurs when an item or activity has not been trained or conditioned to have a reinforcing value? This, if you answer unconditioned motivating operation, you got the correct answer. So think of unconditioned motivating operation as of those things that you need in order to survive, right? Food, water, shelter, warmth, all those things. There was no previous learning history in order for them to become reinforcing to you. Once you were deprived from them for long periods of time, they immediately become reinforcing to you and highly valuable because they help you survive and stay alive. So we have reached the end of this presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a little bit more about motivating operation and how to use those motivation and those items or activity more efficiently at home with your child. I really enjoyed this presentation and talking about motivating operation with you. And that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.